Meditation can be harmful and have adverse effects to physical and mental health. Could it even kill you? Let's look at it. So this is in The Conversation, written by Miguel Farias. You know how I am with names, sorry about that. Associate Professor in Experimental Psychology at Coventry University, called Meditation Can Be Harmful and Even Make Mental Health Problems Worse. This is kind of the opposite of what we're told, right? We're told it's harmless. We're told that, no, you're just relaxing, you're focusing, you're increasing your mental well-being, you're balancing your chakras and flowing your chi and crap like that. Well, it turns out, I didn't even know this, there's a lot of problems. A lot of problems that can come from meditation. We are talking about adverse events that are not rare. In the past 8 years, there has been a surge of scientific research in this area. These studies show that adverse effects are not rare. A 2022 study using a sample of 953 people in the U.S. who meditated regularly showed that over 10% of participants experienced adverse effects which had a significant negative impact on their everyday life and lasted for at least 1 month. And how bad are these physical effects, mental effects? Could meditation kill you? Betteridge's Law, the answer is probably no, but there's a caveat with that. They don't actually say anything here about it being so bad it could potentially be fatal, but let's start it out. A review of over 40 years of research published in 2020, the most common adverse effects are anxiety and depression. These are followed by psychotic or delusional symptoms, dissociation or depersonalization, and fear or terror. And those can actually be physically dangerous as well, especially if they lead one all the way to self-deletion. Research also found that adverse effects can happen to people without previous mental health problems. So not even like you have mental health problems and it makes it worse. No history of them. You meditate and you start to get them. To those who have only had a moderate exposure to meditation, and they can lead to long-lasting symptoms. In 1976, Arnold Lazarus, a key figure in the cognitive behavioral science movement, said that meditation, when used indiscriminately, could induce serious psychiatric problems such as depression, agitation, and even schizophrenic decompensation. We're talking about really serious stuff here. Now here's the caveat. We get these by surveying people who meditate. And the problem is, we can't know about the really severe cases that might lead to going so far as self-deletion and things like that, because if you're dead, then you're not alive and you can't be surveyed. So these are just of the survivors. Kind of scary if you think about it. Again, I don't want to set off any alarm bells, the clickbaity title notwithstanding, but that could potentially be a thing. They don't actually have the evidence here for it, but as we're going to see, there actually isn't a bunch of great evidence on this. They're all just content to completely ignore adverse events when it comes to meditation. So there is evidence that mindfulness can benefit people's well-being. The problem is that mindfulness coaches, videos, apps, and books rarely warn people about the potential adverse effects. In the U.S. alone, meditation is worth $2.2 billion, and the senior figures in the mindfulness industry should be aware of the problems with meditation. Jon Kabat-Zinn, a key figure behind the mindfulness movement, admitted in a 2017 interview with The Guardian that 90% of the research into the positive impacts is subpar. so they don't even want to research the benefits. He suggests that mindfulness meditation can eventually transform who we are as human beings and individual citizens, as communities and societies, as nations, and as a species. This religious-like enthusiasm for the powerful of mindfulness to change not only individual people, but the course of humanity is common among advocates. Even many atheists and agnostics who practice mindfulness believe that this practice has the power to increase peace and compassion in the world. Which I'm sure we all want, but in retrospect, it should have made sense that anything that'll change your brain chemistry and alter how your brain works might have adverse effects. I mean, we're very cautious about drugs that do that sort of thing. What's really the difference here? You're doing it with meditation instead of a drug, but you're still being pretty indiscriminate about how you change your brain. And that can be really significant. But there was little media coverage in 2022 of the most expensive study in the history of meditation science. It cost $8 million, testing more than 8,000 children aged 11 to 14, and showed that mindfulness failed to improve the mental well-being of children compared to a control group, and may have even had detrimental effects on those who were at risk of mental health problems. So this raises some pretty serious ethical questions. Is it ethical to sell mindfulness apps, teach people meditation classes, or even use mindfulness in clinical practice without mentioning its adverse effects? Given the evidence of how varied and common these effects are, the answer should be no. However, many meditation and mindfulness instructors believe that these practices can only do good and don't know about the potential for adverse effects. The most common account I hear from people who had suffered adverse meditation effects is that the teachers don't believe them. They're usually told to just keep meditating and it'll go away. Oh my God. As a chronic pain sufferer, I feel you. I mean, we are constantly told, oh, just get through it. Just soldier your way through it. It'll get better. After all, it's all about mind over matter. And it really isn't. If you're telling people to just get over it, it's all in your head and stuff like that, you're not doing them any good. And you're doing them immense amounts of harm, in fact. Okay, so if you're wondering how to properly use meditation in your life and do it safely and what the advice is for that, well, sorry to break it to you, but research about how to safely practice meditation has only recently begun, which means there isn't yet clear advice to give people. Don't even know what to tell them in order to tell them to meditate safely. And fortunately, and they give a link down here, in the US, there is a clinical service dedicated to people who have experienced acute and long-term problems led by a mindfulness researcher. For now, if meditation is to be used as a well-being or therapeutic tool, the public needs to be informed about its potential for harm. And we see this in so many other things too, like the supplement industry. They'll say, oh, well, this is, naturopaths do this crap all the time. Oh, this is an herb. It's natural. It comes from the ground. It's not going to hurt you. Yeah. 2-word rebuttal, deadly nightshade. Yet when you're taking an herb, you're taking a drug. And that drug might have benefits. It also is probably going to have side effects. And that apparently is true even when you're not taking a drug, even when it's just meditation or whatever. A lot of people say this about yoga. Oh, it's not really exercise. It's just, stretching and calming and everything else. But you're still putting your body through a new regime, and you should really consult a physician for advice on how to do that. Because yoga, meditation, and the herbal stuff and the supplements and all that should be taken with the same degree of informed consent, because that's really what it's all about, informed consent, as when you take drugs. And as long as you inform people about it, As long as they understand what the risks are and can make that decision for their own lives, then fine. We don't need the crappy FDA to regulate it. We don't need the DEA to bust down people's doors. Just let people know the good, the bad, and the ugly, and let them make the decision for themselves. And this society would be a lot better off if we decided to let people finally start doing that. Thank you very much for watching. Comments for the Comic God, shares for the Share-a-thon. Please hit like, subscribe, and the bell. And if you like what I'm doing, and if you like the amazing variety of topics that I cover, basically anything I look around and find interesting like this that I didn't know this stuff. It's like, wow, I need to tell people. So I'm telling you, if you appreciate that, donate.bogosity.tv, PayPal, Venmo, cryptocurrency, any tiny amount you can give can help keep this going. And even if it's just a few pennies of crypto, it's probably more than I'll get from your ad views on this page, which means if you're running an ad blocker, please, I understand, but please consider doing that. Or you can even become a regular supporter at Patreon or Subscribestar or Discord. Any of those. You can get videos early and ad-free. You can join the monthly live streams. There's a monthly AMA. Lots of benefits. Check those out. Thank you so very much for watching. Until next time, stay strong and be free.